Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Jianu, Pakhair Ragale, Ni Hao, Chunashumme, Washmale, Ohio Gonzaimes, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifa Hal, Halishuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasalan Maraba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabiab, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning on a very cold Tuesday morning over here in Islamabad, ladies and gentlemen. For everybody who's out there, for everyone who's out there, for everybody who's watching us right now, we definitely hope and pray that we reach you in great health as well. And we make sure that you get up because it's time to rise and shine, wake and bake, get up and be more focused about what you want to do in life. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm having the most wonderful time of my life over here. And it's because of the fact that earlier, when I used to come to work, it actually used to take me 30 to 40 minutes. But since it's winter vacations for all the kids who were going to school, so the roads are very empty as well. So everybody who actually wants to go out on a drive early in the morning, I think that this is the best time of the year where you can actually go out and have a lot of fun. But other than that, for all of those kids who are actually having their winter vacations, I think that you should really be pushing your parents to take you somewhere nice. Because ladies and gentlemen, this is how it is. And since I'm a father now, so I pretty much understand and think about it as well, that throughout the year, the kids do not really get a time to spend time with their parents or probably go out. Either the parents are busy with their work or the kids have to go to school. But this is that time of the year where you can easily get leave from your office because it's going to be Christmas and then, it's going to be New Year's as well. And I think that, bosses around this time of the year are very relaxed too as well. But I do not know the kind of workplace you work in, but I think that it's going to work out for everybody who's out there as well. And since I've mentioned about kids, ladies and gentlemen, I think that every parent's initiative or every parent's, each and every parent actually wants their kids to be healthy and wealthy as well. And to do so, they make sure that, they provide each and every facility to their kid, whether may it be health, may it be education, may it be any other thing which they want to do or achieve in life. I think parents are those core team members who provide their kids with each and everything. But lately, ladies and gentlemen, I think that the situation is a little grief. And I'm not talking about each and every parent, but I'm talking about all of those parents who might not be very well aware about the fact which we are about to put on the table or right in front of you. And over here at PTB World, we definitely feel that it is our responsibility to raise awareness about such issues. And it makes me ill even thinking about that Pakistan amongst two other countries are the only countries in the world now where polio still exists. Imagine that. I do not, I fall short of words, and it's because of the fact that I still cannot understand why since 1974 we initiated with our anti-polio campaigns as well. We made sure that there are hundreds and hundreds of rounds which are going to take place, and even then. So in 2018, we had 11 or 12 cases only for polio. But in 2019, we see over here that we have a total number of 111 cases. And when we are going to dig in deeper, you will realize why I mentioned about the parents in the beginning. It's because of the fact that when a kid is born, he or she does not know whether what kind of injections they might require, what kind of vaccinations they might require. I think that it's the sole responsibility of a parent, may it be mother or may it be a father, to get their kids injected with such vaccines so that their kid is promised to have a healthier life. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, alongside Afghanistan and Nigeria, Pakistan is obviously there as well, where polio still exists, but it particularly exists in the KPK region. And I'm very sorry to say that, but I think that people over there need to be made aware of the fact that, that these vaccines, which are given for free, do not have anything wrong in them. And I think that it is very important for all the doctors, for all the muftis to actually come on the same point as well so that they can vouch for it. But other than that, Lucky Mawat has got 27 cases, Bannu's got 24 cases. I think that alone makes 50 or odd cases as well. So I think that it's majority of the times, as per our research, what we found out is that one of our producer who's actually from Bannu, who hails from Bannu, he's got a house right in front of him, and that chap has got 15 kids. And he refuses every other time when a polio volunteer goes to his place so that he can give drops to all the kids. But the father is always refusing because of the fact that he thinks that there might be something else within the vaccine. And ladies and gentlemen, that's not how it is. And because it's because of the fact that we do quite intense research about it as well. The entire campaign is monitored very widely and then very closely as well. So I think that there's no chance of such vaccines coming in as well. But what do we do about all of those parents who are out there who are actually refusing polio drops for their kids? And imagine that that kid is actually going to be at risk of getting polio at any stage of life. And this is something which we do not really want. So with all of that footage which is going on, we obviously see the cases where there are people who are willing to give their kids all of these vaccine drops as well. But then what about the cases where people actually refuse, and what can we actually do to convince those parents that, you know, these vaccines are very important for your child? In order, if you want to secure a good future for your child, he really needs to be healthy or she needs to be healthy. And ladies and gentlemen, I've even seen people who have suffered from polio. They really do not have any life, and imagine that they are dependent on other people so that they get carried from one point to another point, and this is not what you want for your child. So today what we have done is that we've actually invited some amazing doctors over here. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to let us about how the situation is within Pakistan and what can be done to deal with all of these issues, which are because of all of these issues, we're not able to eradicate polio from our country, and it is obviously an endemic, and it's just going to be on our head. And so I think without any further ado, I'm going to introduce my guests, ladies and gentlemen. But for all of those parents who are out there who are listening to me today, it's your job, it's your responsibility to convince all of those parents, if you know any, who are actually against getting their kids polio vaccines as well. So please, I think it's everybody's responsibility today as a nation. We really have to get rid of it. It's an endemic and we just want to get rid of it. We do not want to be in that list of countries where polio still exists. So there are only 3 countries in the world where polio still exists, including Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. But without any further ado, let's introduce the guests and let's see what they have to say, and why polio still exists in Pakistan, I think, is the question which I'm going to pose to them as well. So ladies and gentlemen, today we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by DG Health Islamabad, Dr. Hassan Rouj. Hello sir, Assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you?
Walaikum assalam, ji. Thank you very much. I'm fine. And yourself?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. It's always wonderful to have you. Thank you very much.
Well.
And alongside Dr. Hassan, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by the Director, Health Metropolitan Corporation, Islamabad, Dr. Iqbal Afridi. Assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? I'm fine.
Alhamdulillah. Even I'm fine as well. And it's good to have you gentlemen over here in the studios today. But sir, to get started, I think first of all, it is, I mean, I do not know the exact word, but I think that this is how it is. कि मुझे शर्मिंदगी हो रही है. I'm a little embarrassed to know that Pakistan actually is one of those countries where polio still exists, even though that the vaccine campaign started back in 1974. Until 2019, we are unable to eradicate polio from our country. What are the reasons behind it?
It's a very good question, actually. And before jumping on to your question, you have very beautifully summarized the entire scenario in your introduction, to be very honest. I would just like to share the statistics. You're absolutely right when you say that it started back in 70s. And if you see the statistics, just 10 years back, we had 89 cases in 2009, then 144, 198, 58, 93. Then again, a spike came in 2014, 306 cases. 2015, we started having a decrease in the cases, which were 54. Then 2016, 20, 17, 8, 18, 2018, just 12 cases. And now this year, I mean, this is the end of the year, but still we are left with a week. And even yesterday, a couple of cases were reported. 111 cases. This is a very, very sad and unfortunate situation. There is no doubt, there is no debate about it. Now, coming to your question, I think the major reasons why the polio has re-emerged, there are certain, we can divide it into two categories. One is that there has been a lot of within the country migration from one place to another. So the virus doesn't respect boundaries. It doesn't respect rich or poor or any race or white or black. And you see, the people are carriers of the polio virus, even the adults could be carriers of polio virus. The polio virus doesn't affect an adult by its manifestations, implications like paralysis or something else. It does affect the children under the age of 5 years by affecting their limbs, but the adults could be carriers. That is why when the travelers go outside, even if they are adults, they are given polio drops. So within the country, there has been a lot of movement from one place to another for various reasons, for economic reasons, for social reasons, for forced migration, unforced migration, and even guests. People from the high-risk area going to the low-risk area, they're taking the virus, then they're infecting the low-risk area as well. Secondly, if you analyze the statistics, 80% of the, more than 60% of the cases are actually from KPK. That has always been a reservoir of the polio virus. It has been under war for long, and you know, health in a war-like situation is always a challenge. So if you see, you very rightly mentioned that Lucky Marwat has 27 cases, Bannu has 24 cases. If you see the geographical location, they are just adjacent districts to each other. They are actually touching each other. So what we can, and we have cases from Balochistan, we have cases from Karachi as well, Punjab as well, but the point is that our reservoir is not finishing. So one reason is, one main reason is this. Second is the low immunity. I think the last year the number of campaigns were markedly decreased. Third reason, which you have also pointed out in the, you have stressed upon the parents' responsibility, is the refusal of the parents. This is no doubt a government service, a responsibility of this government to take the service to the doorsteps of the people. But parents owe a responsibility towards their children. Children are innocent. They don't know. But children are not only the future of the family, they are the future of the nation. I mean, tomorrow this child is going to grow up into an adult and take over in politics and as a doctor and engineer. So in unhealthy nation, I'll give you an example. In Africa, when the HIV AIDS was rampant, their economy actually slashed down. Yeah, 20% of the productive age group people, they are not going to the industry or the factory or the offices. What will happen to an office if, for example, 20 people are absent from 100?
That's a very valid point.
So productivity lost, and these children have not even entered into their productive age. So how would they contribute towards the economy, towards the built-up, towards the honor of the nation, even as a sportsman? So it's a basic responsibility of the parents, and their refusal has also contributed. And some of the myths we will talk about, religious.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about that. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that at this point of time, what I'm trying to figure out is that we should actually have a legal penalty for all of those parents who are actually refusing for their kids to not get the vaccine as well. I mean, if we can do that, because you know, so if the father or the mother says about a 4-year-old kid or a 3-year-old kid that we do not really want to get him or her the vaccine drops, I mean, what can the kid do? Because he or she is just 3 or 4 years old. And if later on, God forbid, they are diagnosed with the disease which we know as polio, what can be done? And obviously, even the father or the mother then cannot do anything because it's not reversible. So I think that this is one thing.
This is a very important point in China, and at a point in time, they they actually imposed curfew for administration of polio drops. Even in Pakistan, I mean, the parents who are chronic refusals, they are taken to task. But we have to be more hard. You're right. We have to be more hard on parents.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes. Because this is what Dr. Hassan said, that, you know, it's the parents' responsibility to get their kids with the vaccines and the drops too as well. But what about all of those kids? We will come back to that, but let me move on to Dr. Iqbal Afridi over here. So, sir, since you're the director of the Metropolitan, and I think it's a larger area to cover too as well, why do we, knowing that, you know, there are number of cases increasing day by day in KPK, why can't we do anything to control this endemic?
Well, as Dr. Hassan DG has said, and it is well said, that it is a lack of education
Exactly.
and community participation. We need to increase community participation, but community participation cannot increase until and unless we educate them. And this is what I am saying is health education. Another education is real education, which we say literacy rate.
Yes, sir.
We have to increase and enhance literacy rate. When I was child, my father would used to tell me, son, literacy is very low in Pakistan, but when you will grow old, it will increase. Now I am old, but
Exactly.
literacy rate is still 25% or 30%, which is not good. It is education. It is that primary education and secondary education that changes your behavior.
All right.
In every campaign in the beginning, we can be harsh, but to which extent? In the beginning, we can penalize, but I say empower communities, educate them, and let them decide later whether they should participate or not. And the question, when we will eradicate this ailment from Pakistan, I say we should adopt every man.
All right.
Every man should be armed. Every community should be armed. Man in arm strategy. Man in arm strategy is such a strong strategy that if we prepare every man, every woman, every young boy, later on they will fight for the cause.
All right.
We should educate communities. I
Exactly.
say.
And that's a valid point as well. But at this point of time, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a small video to share. But before we share that video, I think that Dr. Iqbal has actually hit the nail on the head. And I think that rather than going door to door and finding kids, I think that it's going to be a brilliant idea that if we just go to the schools directly. I mean, if we start covering all the schools, may they be private or public, because for all of those parents who might have refused at their homes, I don't think that the kids would be able to refuse in the schools as well. We're going to discuss on that. But right now, we're going to take you to Peshawar, where we've actually made a video and we've asked people why they're not willing to get their kids the polio vaccine drops as well. So I think that it's a bigger question, but let's see how has it been answered. Let's go.
In the village of Badabher, many parents refuse to vaccinate their children. One of them is Javed Ahmed.
I read in a newspaper that these anti-polio vaccines are manufactured in India and the United States, two countries that are our enemies. How would they want good for us? They give us this poison for free. Why not give vitamins instead? This poison vaccine makes children very sexualized. It accelerates puberty in girls. A girl matures at the age of 8 years. Nobody will force me to vaccinate my children.
After the attack on the polio center, the Pakistani
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I think that we found two questions today out of this video, and so let's do a little bit of myth busting over here. And I think that that is something which is required as well. So now the gentleman is saying that, you know, it excels the growth hormones as well, and people or the kids are actually maturing way faster than they were supposed to be, just like he mentioned. Now, Matt, I don't think that we really need to be judgmental, but is there any truth to that? I mean, is there anything of that sort within that vaccine? So let's just get the question answered, and then we'll dig in deeper whether it was just a man-made idea or is there any reality behind that?
Actually, it's a myth.
Okay.
We have been discussing about the quality and the credibility of the vaccines, but the process of the procurement of the vaccine is so tedious and so delicate and so transparent, and there's a lot of accountability attached to that and a lot of economic issues attached to that, that the countries or the firms cannot afford even the compromise on the quality of the vaccine. What to talk of having steroids and hormones, because it's an economic world now.
Exactly.
Why we call some economic power. I mean, countries are not, but firms who are procuring vaccines. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So they cannot afford to have poor quality vaccines. What to talk of adulteration in the vaccine and having a sazish through it. So through your program, I think it's very important. You showed a very important clip. We must clarify this. But another edge to it is our social media. You know, what happens is somebody sitting somewhere has a crazy idea and makes up a, you know, a news and try to make it more credible, and that becomes viral. That really becomes viral. So it's our nation, our children, we have to be very careful. We have to dig into the details without, unless we know the exact value of that news, we should not accept that, accept the truth of that. Our society accepts, things, the gossips and all these things very quickly and the facts very badly. You know, I think this is very important. So apart from the schools, social media is playing a very important role. You remember there was a video which was telecasted, made by a certain man in KPK, and he said the 5 children got unconscious after taking polio drops about a year back, and that had a very bad effect. And that was totally fabricated and very badly fabricated video. So,
and even, sir, I think at this point of time, we do not have that habit of, verifying or, validating a news as well, which I think is wrong. And I'm going to show you one more clip, and this is how unfair parents can be towards their kids, ladies and gentlemen. And just because of the fact that they never went to a school, just because of the fact that they never actually tried researching on what we were going to give to their kids, that's the kind of lame excuses they come up with. Please, can we play this video? What an ignorant mother she was.
अच्छा, आप क्यों नहीं पिलवाती हैं? आप मुझे वजह बताएंगी? मेरे बच्चों को मौसम लग जाते हैं। अब मेरे पास इतने नोट नहीं है जो मैं अपने बच्चों के ऊपर हॉस्पिटलों में जा लगाऊं। अगर पोलियो की खतरा आप कहते हो ना 800 रुपए की वैक्सीन है, उसका मेरे घर में राशन डलवा दो। लेकिन ये वैक्सीन।
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's how grief the situation is. The mother is saying that you shouldn't care if my kid dies of TB, you shouldn't care if my kid dies of polio, and you should never ever care what my kid is actually suffering from, because the vaccine costs around rupees 800, and if you have that 800 rupees, you can probably give me something to eat rather than giving us this polio vaccine. Now, first things first, I think that we really need to have to share this with our audiences, that all of these polio campaigns which have taken place, they've never asked money from anybody. The polio vaccines were absolutely free. And then towards the end, the mother said that if, I give my kid the polio vaccine, he gets or she gets motions as well. So, sir, is there any truth in it?
I think this is, I'm glad you have shown this, because we face it daily. Parents who refuse, they say this is a child. This is your child, no doubt, but this is community's child as well. This is the nation's child as well. And not only that child's health and life is important, that child could be spreading polio. One child could spread polio to 200 children. This is a statistics.
And so just to get it right, how can a person who's a carrier spread polio?
Sorry, the polio virus is excreted through the stools of the child. And keeping in view the unhygienic conditions and the, non-practicing community with non-hand washing and all those practices, cleanliness and sanitation, sanitary conditions, this is a very conducive place for the spread of polio. I mean, salad ke patte, for example, you may be very clean, but an ayah or a servant or a maid coming to your house with a kid in her arm, and her kid is playing here and there, she might not be aware because of her education, as he said, that what is cleanliness. And she might clean her child, and with the same hand, she
is giving you food.
She is giving you food, your children milk. And she's spreading. So I mean, it's a so conducive environment for the spread of polio. And I said that it is excreted in the stools of the children. And a person there's something called as an attack rate. A healthy child is attacked by the polio virus in the environment. Only those children get whose immunity is low.
All right.
So the virus is in the environment. So we have to know this, that it is your child, no doubt about it.
Exactly.
But you have a responsibility towards community.
Yep.
You have a responsibility towards other children as well.
Exactly.
If a person is coughing and he is having, unfortunately, tuberculosis, that person needs to understand that it is his health which is more important, but the health of the other people
Yes.
whom he is infecting.
Exactly.
So this notion is absolutely wrong, that I'll make the decision whether my child gets this vaccine or not.
Exactly. And thank you very much for saying that, which is why I'm going to move on to Dr. Iqbal over here. So, sir, there's one more thing she said, and that is that even though the video is a little older, but she was saying that the vaccine costs us 800 rupees. But to my knowledge, what I know so far is, and for all the times when the polio volunteers were at my place to give polio vaccines to my daughters, they never asked for money. In fact, it was for free for everybody. Even I had 2-3 drops, because you never know, you should always be on the safer side. So just very quickly, first thing, you actually have to let us know whether the vaccines are for free or not. And then the second thing is, if an elderly person takes the drops, is there any effect on that, or it's just safe, completely safe?
Well, first, vaccine is totally free.
Okay.
Not only this vaccine, but all EPI vaccines which 8 to 9 vaccines which we are using in EPI, they are all free, free of cost. And benefit is universal. You benefit, your child will not have this paralysis.
Yes.
So on one hand, you are getting a free vaccine, and on the other hand, your child can contract paralysis.
Exactly.
So there is a difference. People should decide themselves.
So even if it's for money, I think that you really do not want your kid to suffer from a paralysis, and throughout their life, they're going to live with that.
It's not only the paralysis of the child, it's the paralysis of the entire family.
Exactly.
Imagine if a child is sick in a family. The entire family goes to the hospital every now and then. The cost of the medicines, the tension they bear, the social stigma sometimes.
Exactly. And it's so hard to even convince your family or probably your brother or sister to do things for you. So it's better that you stay healthy and safer as well. But what about elderly people getting the drops?
Yes. Vaccines are safe even for the elderly. And actually, the elderly, if it gets vaccine, as we are seeing it nowadays, that whoever who goes to travels abroad, he will take 2 drops.
Yep.
Purpose is to make him free from those viruses.
Exactly.
So that when that person reaches another country, he will not shed a lot of viruses.
Exactly.
And the people in that country which is polio free will not get polio again.
Indeed.
So it is not harmful. It can enhance immunity in your body and can protect you from the
And after
ill
how long
effects.
can we have the drops again? So for example, if I was traveling to Saudi and they give you drops too as well, so can I have the drops like after every 6 months, or once you've taken it, there's no need to take the vaccine?
There is time, and it depends on your status of body. If you are very healthy and you have a very good immune system,
Yep.
you can be immune for from 6 weeks to 6 months.
Okay.
Actually, 6 months is the validity of this vaccine.
All right.
But I would add another point
Sure,
to
why
it. What happens is, we are going to have very frequent campaigns now.
Yeah.
So one of the questions is, why just tomorrow you came in and again you are knocking the door? So this drop doesn't have any bad side effect. This message should go from your forum, from this media. If a child has got a drop yesterday, he can get a drop today as well.
Okay.
No side effects, no harm. There is always a positivity attached to it.
Right.
Because a lot of children may be, they have malnutrition, they may be having loose motions, so the polio vaccine doesn't absorb.
All right.
So giving the benefit of doubt to the health of the child, that the previous drops might not be absorbed. Secondly, within the environment of Pakistan, there's a polio virus so rampant.
Exactly.
So polio campaigns are going to be rampant as well.
All right. And it's very important as well. Sir, I'm going to come back to you, but there's one more thing which we need to realize over here, ladies and gentlemen, that is that, you know, if you're going to have those polio vaccine drops, there's no problem. Even if you had them today, you can have them day after today as well, and it can keep on going. And because Dr. Hassan very rightly said as well, what if the drops weren't absorbed? And I think that that's the right approach as well. I think I'm going to have it whenever they're going to come over to my place as well. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got two things on our plate. And one, we actually want to share a song with you, we wanted to raise awareness amongst people that how you should really cooperate with all of those polio vaccine volunteers as well. And then other than that, when you guys are going to come back, since there are only 3 countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Nigeria, so from the KPK border side, ladies and gentlemen, we obviously have a border attached with Afghanistan. A lot of people have been coming in and a lot of people have been going out as well. So it's not just Pakistan, or the disease does not only exist in Pakistan, but imagine for all of those people coming from Afghanistan to Pakistan, they might be carrying polio disease as well within them. So they can be polio carriers. How can we resolve that particular problem? That's something which we're going to talk about after the show. And we've got Master Ali with us, who's a 9-year-old kid who's going to advocate about why you should be drinking polio vaccines. Let's take a listen to this song.
आँखों में सपने हैं और सारे अपने हैं, हाथों में हाथ हो तो साथ हो तो सब चल पड़े। मुश्किल हो या आसानी, दिल में हमने है ठानी, इनको रोशन करना है, खुशियों से दामन भरना है। रिश्तों की माला में जुड़े हैं हम, एक दूजे के हम कदम ये जान लो, गुलशन को हम मिलके बचाएंगे, मिलकर सजाएंगे ये मान लो।
And ladies and gentlemen, I've got immense respect for all of those polio volunteers as well, and it's because of the fact that, you know, even though Pakistan was going through a tougher time, if we talk about from the year 2000 till 2010 or till 2014. But all of these people, they always made sure that their life is not more important than the life of those kids who are actually going to drink these vaccines as well. But then at the same time, during this process, we did lose a lot of volunteers, and it's just because of the fact that the areas were very harsh where they went, but they always made sure that they're going to be there. And then there was this picture which went viral of this polio volunteer who was actually up in the north somewhere, making sure that each and every kid of that particular area is going to get that vaccines as well. But then at the same time, as I said, that I've got another surprise for you as well. So we have a 9 or an 8-year-old kid. I mean, I'm just assuming, I'll ask him. He's advocating for polio and why kids should always get these polio vaccines as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we have been joined by Master Ali. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum. How are you, Ali?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Did you drink those polio vaccines yourself?
Yes,
Yes. And what are the benefits of it? Do you want to share something on that?
I made a rhyme for it.
Go ahead, share that rhyme with us. Louder, yeah.
I'm a little child, but I understand everything mild. My life and future is my health. My life and future is my health. That's the most precious of all the wealth.
Wow. That's so great.
Last.
2 polio drops are my right. They keep away disability is my guide.
Wow,
That's the
that's
guide.
wonderful.
Very
2
good.
drops, yeah, say it again, 2 drops.
2 polio drops are my right. They keep away disability is the guide.
Yes, 2 polio drops keep me right and keeps the disability.
Is the guide.
Okay, is the guy. Okay. And that's great. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine that this kid over here is actually vouching and advocating for all of those kids out there. And imagine what a wonderful rhyme he's made himself, that these 2 polio drops are his right. And this is where I started my program from as well, that we really need to do something about all of those parents who are actually refusing those polio vaccine volunteers to not give their kids the drops as well, or maybe making lame excuses as well. But please, ladies and gentlemen, these 2 polio drops, very rightly said, are the right of every child as well. But very quickly, sir, before we wrap up, so there was one more thing which I mentioned before going out towards that song, and that was that we shared the KPK side of the border with Afghanistan, and we do have a lot of movement. We did actually, we are housed to a lot of refugees over here in Pakistan over here as well, and we do see that there is a lot of movement from that side of the border to Pakistan. What do we do to stop that? Can we actually have our testing system somewhere right next to the border where people who actually want to come over here get tested for polio, or whether they're polio carriers or not? What should we do now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a very robust program, to be very honest, and there are intra-country coordination mechanisms which are existing. For polio, there is no issue, there is no politics, there is no issue whether it any country, because it's a mutual enemy.
Exactly.
And and on the border sides, both the administrators are in very close collaboration. They know the children, they know the population segments, they know under 5 years of population. There's a strong surveillance system.
Exactly.
This system has been made because of the re-emergence of 111 cases. This surveillance system has been reviewed and has been made more stronger and enhanced in the previous days, and we are inshallah going to see much betterment in the coordination, because in between the 2 countries, but we have to be very strong within our country as well. And I think involving Ali Arif is a key message.
Exactly.
I'll give a message at the end.
I think that this is the time, because towards the end we have to play a video, so if you want to say anything, you can say it
the
now.
message is, now my message is for the children under the age of 5 years. They should ask their parents, where are my polio drops?
Exactly.
So my message is not for the parents, neither for the government, not for the volunteer. They are doing their work. Please, children under the age of 5 years, please ask your parents, where are my polio drops?
Exactly.
So I'll be grateful for the children to contribute in this.
Exactly, and that's a great message as well. But Dr. Iqbal sir, before we wrap up, is there anything you want to say? And if you have a solution towards ending polio from Pakistan or eradicating polio from Pakistan, please go ahead.
Sir, I will continue. You said that border.
Yeah.
As our people who go outside, they travel, we administer them 2 polio drops.
Okay.
Anybody who is coming from that side, they should be administered polio drops at Torham border, and if there is
So they
any
should be or they have been administered?
I think they are given, but
Okay.
it should be implemented in true
Okay.
letter and spirit.
Yeah.
And secondly, you showed us 2 videos, and on the first video I will comment that there is some misunderstanding, but I say that polio drops are being administered since 1994.
All right.
And till date, we don't see a decrease in population rate.
All right.
We are still seeing and still facing population outburst,
Exactly.
which means
That the
there
drops
is
are safe.
safe.
Exactly. Thank you very much for this wonderful message as well. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, since I was mentioning about the volunteer who actually went up to the north as well on foot, making sure that each and every kid of that particular area is going to have those polio drops as well. We just want to share that video with you, and you guys will come back. We'll wrap it up as well. It's, I mean, I want to give him a standing ovation, but I cannot, unfortunately, because I'm all wired up as well. But gentlemen, wherever you are, if you're watching us today, you've done a great job for your country, and we definitely need people like you. Let's take a look at the video. Champion of ours is actually making his way so that he can go and get all the kids or give the kids the vaccine which he's carrying himself. And imagine that there's so much snow out there, but he's dedicated and he's motivated so that he provides us with such youngsters who are healthy, and so that they make their way towards wealth as well, but which is great. But thank you very much, Dr. Hassan Arooj.
Thank you
very
for
much, Dr.
inviting
Iqbal.
us.
Thank you very much, my champion Ali, and it was good to have you as well. Would you mind saying the last lines again? Come on, say that. What were the 2 last lines? 2 polio drops, am I right?
2 polio drops, armor right. 2 polio drops, armor right. The keeper with disability is the guide.
Is the guide. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the message for today for everybody who's out there. Please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning. Whatever questions you may have, even related to polio, or even otherwise, you can definitely reach us on Facebook. And then on Instagram, it's World This Morning. On Daily Motion, it's World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. The repeat's going to be at 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Bye-bye.